Dovey said
Okay,
he's trying to get off.
who? Dovey?
Burks said he's trying. I don't know. He said he can't.
He's
Whatever.
not in the waiting
Told
room.
him. Okay.
When he comes on, we'll do it. Okay, so, well, there is Shia. Okay, so interesting backdrop, Shia. Okay, the Mishnah we're doing is Parak Bay's Mishnah. Oh, that's even better. Well, that is a very cool backdrop. Yes, Parak Bay's Mishnah Yud Aleph. Okay, Rabbi Shomer Ayin Hara v'Yetzora v'Sinas Habrios Motim Es Adam in Olam. Rabbi Yeshua says, an evil eye, the evil inclination, and hatred for humankind.
That's real life. That's real life.
I mean, it's pretty cool.
Joking.
Humankind put a person out of the world. So if you take a look here on the right in the Bar Tanura, it says the evil eye. This is like an evil eye, which does not suffice with with what he has and seeks other things. That means that a person has a bad eye, a negative eye. He wants other people's stuff, or rather, I would say, to be more precise than that, that he doesn't want other people to have stuff. In other words, if I have an ayin ra, I look at other people's property and I say, I wish they didn't have that property. I really don't like that they have more than I do, something which is cool that I don't have. That's an ayin ra.
So why isn't it? Why wouldn't you just have like Yezer Hara? Like so now, why are you saying like I wish they didn't have this?
It's a good point. It's a good question. The answer is
you're losing out yourself if you're gonna
right.
do that.
The ayin ra means, that you don't want them to have. The Yetzirah means you want what they have. In other words, ayin ra means I'm just upset that you have something. I don't care. I don't need it. I don't want it, but I don't want you to have it. Yetzirah means I want what you have. I desire that. I want to acquire it, preferably by taking it away from you, but I want that thing. It's not that I begrudge you having it so much as I want it to. Okay, that's the difference between Ayin Ra and Yetzirah. But the Baratanur there, here's the Rav as a second explanation, which I want to go into in a little bit of detail. And some explain the evil eye, that he inserts the evil eye into the money of his friend or his children and hurts him. So that is what we call today Ayin Hara. I want to share with you something I wrote once about Ayin Hara. I'm going to have to share with you a different screen for that. So let's find the other screen. Okay, so this is something which I wrote many years ago. I was asked by one of the people in Daf Yom Shir I gave in Chicago to dwell a bit on the topic of Ayin Hara. And that was in Bamatia Daf Kuf Zayin, where it says the overwhelming majority of people die because of Ayin Hara, and very few die because of regular reasons. In other words, most people die, according to that amazing Gemara, because other people look at them and give them an Ayin Hara. They give them, so to speak, a curse by looking at them the wrong way, as opposed to dying because of some natural disease or some sort of accident and so on and so forth, which happens on its own, happens on account of Ayin Hara. Now, going on. Of course, the Rambam does not pass like Gemara's based on Ayin Hara. The Rambam does not hold Ayin Hara exists. The Rambam was anti-superstition of all kinds, and therefore he never wrote in Halacha anything about Ayin Hara. He just didn't hold it that existed. And that's why when the Gemara says you're not allowed to look at somebody else's field where grain is growing because of Ayin Hara, the Rambam says, no, there's a different reason for it. There's his own reason, because people looking into a field, then people might come to be tempted to steal or something like that. But he doesn't hold Ayin Hara together. So, and I would suspect that right here, that a rationalistic approach to what that means, one based completely on reason without assuming there's any magic in the world, would reject Ayin Hara to either a complete or partial extent. I'd be interested to know what Rabbi Shimshon Hirsch, who was also a big rationalist, had to say, if anything, on the topic. I'd assume that the rationalists might accept Ayin Hara as a form of kitrug in Shamayim. In other words, if somebody is not into magic, The way they have to look at Ein Hara is that if you put yourself into a position where you are very, very obviously above and beyond different than other people, or you put yourself in a position which is dangerous, then in Shamayim, in heaven, they look at you and they say, this guy thinks the world of himself, or this guy is okay putting himself into a dangerous situation. Let's see if he deserves what he has or not. In other words, you bring attention to yourself, and in Shamayim, then you are placed in judgment. And that's Gemara says that a person is not supposed to walk on the precarious wall. You shouldn't, and this might be the source for the superstition, not to walk under an open ladder, right? Because if you walk in a place which is dangerous, the Gemara says that in Shamayim, they're going to say, should we do for this person a miracle or not? In other words, this wall might fall any moment. Should we keep the wall up or let the wall fall? And either if you're not worthy, they're going to let the wall fall, or you're going to use up some of your merit because they're going to especially protect you from the wall falling down. So that is Ein Hara in a way which is logical. In other words, don't go somewhere where it brings attention on yourself, because then in Shamayim they're going to look at you and say, okay, is he worthy of everything we've given him or not worthy? Okay, and going on. Is that clear?
Should we not drive a car?
You shouldn't drive a red car.
Why?
Because red cars draw attention.
Father drives the red car.
Red cars draw attention. Red cars are the color car most stolen in America.
What about like if you got like a super fancy yellow,
Neon yellow would
some
be
really expensive fancy yellow car?
same thing. A neon yellow car would be a problem. If you drive a car which looks like an old New York taxi cab, yes, that would be a problem, because then you're drawing attention to yourself. Okay, so that
And you're not supposed to get nice cars that are flashy.
yeah, not supposed to get flashy anything in general. Okay, this is not a stringent halacha, but it's good advice.
What about women jewelry?
Same thing. It shouldn't be flashy. Okay, draw attention to yourself. You're looking for trouble.
Like shiny dresses.
Well, both men and women, as you know, in halacha, it's brought down. You're not supposed to wear red. Now, not some people. There are many people who are not makbid on that nowadays, but people are not supposed to wear red clothing. Okay, so it's not precisely the same reason which is given. It's reason given because of, but the reasons which are given either because of a zara or because of tznius. What?
Could you wear a red tie?
A red tie people are lenient on, but there are even some people.
Why do those red strings out?
What?
Why do those weird ladies give the red strings out?
It's just a superstition. It's usher. You can't wear a red string.
Like red shoelaces. What if you got like red shoelaces?
Jews are not supposed to wear red shoelaces either. Okay. So going on. So thus would not be direct impact of the onlooker on the person on whom he looked, but rather a form of triangulation. The dispersion cast by the onlooker makes an impression in the heavens, and things that might have been overlooked then become significant, and may doom an individual that was otherwise cruising unnoticed despite his iniquities. By the way, I believe red cars also get more traffic tickets than any other car, because when you're driving a red car, you draw the notice of the cops. What?
That's a thing?
Yeah.
I've heard of that before.
Yes. So you want to avoid tickets, you don't drive a red car. Okay, the classic approach, that of Reb Tzadok, and even surprisingly,
Yeah, like red cars get more tickets and things. Yeah.
even surprisingly, the Malbim, is that rays emanate from your eyes when you look at something. Now, this is magical. Somehow, when I look at something, like Superman has X-ray vision, so something comes out of my eye. And when something comes out of my eye, it hits whatever I'm looking at. Okay? This is kind of like you have a camera which has automatic focus. Something comes out of the camera, hits kind of like it's like radar, but only it's with light. Hits the thing, bounces back, and then it sets the camera for the proper flash and aperture. But this is in this case, your rays emanate from your eye, and when you look at someone or even something, Pasuk says, "Al tilcha meslechem ra'ayin." Don't eat bread with somebody who has a bad eye, because he's going to ruin your meal. Now, again, Pasuk Shah would be he's going to ruin your meal because he's not going to give you a good meal. He has a bad eye. He doesn't want to give you so much good food. But according to this interpretation, he looks at your food and it's going to not taste as good. He's going to look at your steak, and your steak is going to taste worse. So the rays that emanate from your eyes are poisoned, and that poisonous quality then adheres in the person or object upon whom you have looked. The Tzaddik says
it's like the same thing where like you eat with your eyes. You're not going to eat something that looks like vomit.
Yeah, but the thing is, if I look at what he's saying is that if I look at your food in a negative way, I can actually make your food taste worse to you. It's kind of weird.
It's like psychological. That's not
right. I would say psychological, but he's saying it's more mystical. In other words, there's such a thing. If I look at your food and I look in a negative way, your food's going to taste worse. Okay, I don't know if I buy this, but there is such an opinion. Reb Tzaddik says if it works in a relative fashion, as the object gaze may be impervious to that type of venomous ray, such as was the case with Yosef HaTzadik. So Yosef, as we know, was resistant, Ayin Hara resistant, Ayin Hara proof, and the way HaKadosh Baruch Hu gave him his gift is that even though he was very, very handsome and he was in a very, very public position, nevertheless, HaKadosh Baruch Hu gave him a gift that people looking at him in a negative way would not have negative impact upon him. Okay? This perspective is in line with several Gemaras, such as the Gemara in Shabbos, where Shimon Bar Yochai and his son Rabbi Elazar come out of the cave, and everywhere they look is consumed. Right? The first time they came out of the cave after 12 years, everywhere, Nosnu Einam, wherever they gave to put their eyes, Miyad Nisraf. It was burnt up. So, and then after the second time they exit, Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai's gaze heals, where Rabbi Eliezer's afflicts. And the Gemara in a couple of places says that when Rabbi Yochanan looked at a wayward Talmud, he turned him into a pile of bones. But the Talmud once came back to Rabbi Yochanan after a trip, and he said, you, Rabbi Yochanan, darshan that eventually the walls of Yerushalayim are going to be very tall and made of precious stones, and even the windows in the wall are going to be very big. And I went down to the sea, and I saw such a place where Malachim were carving out the doors for the new Yerushalayim. And it says, Rabbi Yochanan said to him, until now you didn't believe what I was saying? He looked at him, and the Talmud turned into a pile of bones. The similar thing it says by Reish Lakish. Rabbi Yochanan was upset at Reish Lakish, and he looked at him in a negative way, and Reish Lakish, he didn't die right away, but he started dying as a result.
So is it like, so that was like the same thing with like the eating, like how your friend, like, it's like, if he says your food's not good, then like, you're gonna may not taste as good, so it's the same thing. If he doesn't look as you, and you have like Nebu or something
yes.
of that sort.
Right, similar thing. Yes, absolutely.
Do you have to have Nebu to say that food doesn't look good, and then are you allowed to have, like, is that only Nebu, or is that just like, it's like just something that's psychological? It's something with
either psychological or something which people have even without nevuah. Because if Ayin Hara exists, so it's anybody can cast that spell. You don't have to be a special person. There are people who go around the world pouring melting lead. It's called Blagiesin. Pouring lead. They pour lead. They melt it. They put a towel on your head.
An ad for that in Mishpacha this week.
What?
Was an ad for that in Mishpacha?
The ad for Mishpacha, right?
A response to that, it's Kafira.
Rebbitzin Adel Miller, I think her name is. So one of those people do it. So they take the
lead. Kabbalah, then, or whatever. If it's actually true, then you know that.
Well, let me explain what it is before we talk about. Let me explain what it is. What happens is lead has a very low melting point. So they take a frying pan and they melt lead. And then there are two ways of doing it.
Is lead really dangerous for you?
Yes. So
it looks like eyeballs, right?
either they pull the lead, either they put a towel on your head and they pour the lead on the towel and immediately solidifies, or they pour the hot lead in a bowl of water.
So that it would.
And then one second. Then they look at the pattern in which the lead solidifies, and they can tell what Ayin Hara you have against you, and they say whatever incantations, and they take your money, and they get rid of your Ayin Hara from you.
So you pay them and they take away the Ayin Hara?
Yes. So they.
How do they know it when they just put it into a bowl of water?
It's Kafira.
They claim they can read it.
Make it up.
So this actually comes. I did a blog post on this once. This actually comes from a German superstition. On New Year's Eve in Germany.
But it's not.
What?
You know that it's not like actually true if it's based off of.
Yes.
Wait, they did it in the 1200s, but in the 1200s there was no like German thing.
Yeah, they've done. I think the 1400s. I think they've done it.
Times they used to do it.
It's an old German tradition, and they do it, and they tell the future what's coming up the coming year based on how the lead forms. So there's no source in Judaism for this, but people,
Your
people.
internet isn't so good. Svi, take out your headphones. Take out your headphones. I can't really hear you so well.
Steve, we can't hear you.
Who was talking?
You have to take out your headphones.
Who are you talking to?
Now you're frozen.
Oh, it's Feast Frozen. Yeah.
Your internet isn't so good.
Maybe turn off the picture, then we can hear you.
Svi, turn off your video.
All right. In any event, let's go on. So this is, in my opinion, and I'm sure,
Vince, just type it in the chat.
evidently,
Yeah,
all,
put it in the chat. Put the chat with your question.
evidently also in Rabbi Schechter's opinion, if we, according to Shaya, is absolutely forbidden, is superstitious, and something which no Jew should actually do. But there are people who go around.
It's just like fake nebuah. It's not an actual thing. You just waste your money.
Right. That's
Some wacky lady decided that she wants to make some money, so she decided.
right. But there are people who swear by it, who say that after they did this procedure, they got lucky because all the Einhorns went away. So we don't actually we don't actually accept that, but there are people who do. If you're desperate, I guess you'll try anything. Going on to the next paragraph, there are rationalistic
It actually
explanation.
works, isn't it, Kishuf?
What?
Rebbe,
It works. It should be Kishuf.
someone,
Yes.
never mind, someone was drawing.
Okay, it's a form of superstition which is like Kishuv. It's called Darchei Amori, the ways of the Amorites. Okay, there are rationalistic explanations of those Gemaras, however, as well, including the Telzer Rav, Rabbi Yosef Bloch, who says that making an individual pile bones means to make him feel that his entire existence is worthless, is meaningless. You know, usually a principal or a menahel is very good at this. They have a way of looking at you in which you feel that you are absolutely worthless and you would rather fall down into a hole than have to confront this person's gaze. Sometimes there are teachers who are good at it too, not me, but that's a way in which...
Is that illegal or child abuse?
What?
What?
Is that
Is it
illegal?
illegal?
Well, it's not illegal.
Child abuse.
It's not illegal. It's not child abuse. It's education.
Oh, really?
Yes.
Really?
They
How
make
you
you-
educate
Being
me
the
by
stick and
staring
snap.
at me?
That's all first.
Make you feel worthless. It's an educational tool.
Child abuse.
Okay.
Answers are child abuse or child abuse. I choose child abuse.
All right. Well, anyway, so going on. Perhaps is because the Rambam felt strongly that vision does not work in this manner that he rejected Ayin Hara. Because obviously the way we understand vision nowadays, nothing leaves your eyes. The image enters your eyes and then reflects on the back of your optical nerve. Be that as it may, Lamaisa, one can accept the spiritual dimension of the gaze, even one does not accept that vision actually works that way. Rav Dessler in Michta Milyo offers another explanation. All souls are intertwined in some way, some to a greater degree and some to a lesser degree. But universal connectivity is a spiritual reality. We're all connected to each other. That's why we have a halachic principle. Kol Yisrael Ravim Zelozeh. All Jews are responsible for each other because we're all connected. Thus, my attitude towards your soul affects its status. If we are very closely bonded spiritually, then the impact is greater. And vice versa. If we're not so close, so the impact is less. Still, some grip hold is essential. If a person is totally l'shem shamayim and other directed, or very humble and self-effacing, meaning they try to be very modest, the interaction between others is more out than in. And others who play Ayin Hara against him will not be particularly successful. Meaning a person, if I look at you in a negative way, then it's easy for you to look at me in a negative way. And if I show off, then it's easy for you to look at me in a negative way. But if I'm humble and modest, so then even if our souls are connected, you won't be able to have that kind of impact on me. Okay, this approach is in line with a couple of other Gemaras concerning Rabbi Yochanan. who was impervious to Ayin Hara as the descendant of Yosef, with him causing a death of Rav Kahana, which he then reversed, and Reish Lakish, which he did not reverse. Well, at least in the latter case, the impact was not immediate, although it seems to have been direct. It seems that the interaction between the souls that caused the effectiveness, it was the interaction between the souls that caused the effectiveness of the Ayin Hara. Now, of course, quirks like Ayin Hara bring into play basic questions of Mida connected Mida. In other words, precision, reward, and punishment. What if I don't deserve to have an Ayin Hara? Why is it fair that you can use an Ayin Hara against me? So there are flip sides, but there are flip sides of positive quirks like skulos. It was just like there are random things built in to the bria, which have random effects, even if you don't deserve it positively or negatively at that moment. You know, for some reason, whenever I used to think of this idea in the 1990s, I associated with in Harry Potter the idea of a portkey. You guys know what a portkey is in Harry Potter?
Yeah.
No.
See what it has.
If you took,
Yeah, I don't know what that has to do with
if you touch it, it transports you randomly somewhere where you didn't intend to go, right? So if an Ayin Hara operates the way some people understand it, it randomly impacts you, even though that was not what Hashem had in mind for you at that moment. Another way around, if somebody can come into a good situation, which we call segula, where they do something positive and they get rewarded in a way which was not the plan at the moment, it just happened to be some random positive thing. Okay, so with that, yes.
I'm gonna go now. It's getting worse and worse. My head.
Okay, Refuah Shlema.
Thank you. Have a great night.
Okay, so obviously, Akash Baruch Hu has to make it up to everybody in the end how it works out to work out properly. But the idea is that obviously there's certain things in life which are random. Certain things are based on destiny, based on reward and punishment. Certain things happen at random. Okay, so that would be an Ayin Hara would be a case in which somebody else looked at you negatively and an Ayin Hara took effect of you. So, but getting back to the Mishnah itself now, that was the let's the other share.
How long did it take you to write that?
What?
How long did it take you to write that?
Go get in the
I remember half an hour, an hour. So the last thing in the Mishnah is sinas abrios, motinas on meolam. Here the Bartanura says baseless hatred. That's sinas chinam. We'll come back to a minute. But the Rambam says an interesting thing. Rambam says that he despises the company creations and loves to sit alone. A loner is a bad thing. Because even though there are reasons to be sometimes to be a loner, like Yirmiyahu Novi once said he wants to run away into the desert and live in isolation from everybody else. But generally speaking, we have a principle person should always be mu'ravim abrios. He should get along with other people. And if you don't get along with other people, there's something wrong with you, and it's going to get worse. Okay? Then he brings down the Bartanura, and I heard this referring to a hard man. Brings the hatred of the creations.
Baby, I'm gonna come right back on. So can
Okay.
you look in the waiting room?
Yeah, upon him and causes all to hate him. But so that is, in other words, if you are always tough to people and you're nasty to people, that's called sinas abrios. That's when you hate other people. So actually, these three things, ayin hara, yetzer, and sinas abrios, correspond to kina, taiva, and kavod. Ayin hara is kina. You're jealous of other people having things. Yetzer hara is taiva. You want what they have. Kavod means if I don't get the proper coverage I feel is coming to me, I hate other people. I want to share you something which appears in the Siddur Otzar Tfilos about the davening on Yom Kippur. On Yom Kippur, we say all the al-chaitz, and one of the al-chaitz we say is al-chaitz shechotanu fanecha v'sinas chinam. Right? We don't like other people, so for no good reason. So here's a beautiful explanation here in this in the interpretation in a commentary called Dover Shalom about this. And he explains what it is. He says, we're so accustomed to sinas chinam that it's as if it's embedded in the laws of nature that even among people who seem to love each other and be best friends, they also hate each other for no good reason. What does that mean? Because sometimes, even though somebody's your good friend, the way he conducts himself in a way which is better than the way you conduct yourself, or superior to the way you conduct yourself, causes you to hate him. And certainly people hate even their good friends if they're more successful in business than they are. Even though it doesn't make you less successful. But sometimes the very fact that he's more successful makes you not like him. And it's certainly true if he gets some sort of honor or reward from the king or from the nation, then you even hate him even more. Because you're not because he deserves to be hated, not because he did anything wrong to you, but because you're jealous of him. And people are so accustomed to this that people don't realize how bad this meat is and how even good friends can have situations in which they're involved in sinas chinam with each other. You think that you think you're innocent, you're not doing anything wrong, but you're not enemy to everybody, and you don't realize that it's in you internally, psychologically. It brings down the Chazal, which says any craftsman hates his fellow craftsman because he's always in competition with them. Even if he seems to be friendly, there's always a likelihood that they're not really good friends, and underneath you're just jealous of him and detest him. And somebody who sells a product is jealous when he hates his friend when his friend gets a profit, makes more money. And he says, Talmidei Chachamim are even have sinas chinam when I see that another Talmid Chacham has more success in having his shurim being widespread, or people listening to him, or being able to write svarim. Very often I have sinas chinam on that Talmid Chacham. It's a very dangerous thing.
They're human. They're not like aliens that never do anything wrong or malachim.
That's right, but you have to be aware. People are not aware that it's in them. In other words, most people are not in touch with themselves psychologically. Most people look at themselves in a positive way, no matter what, and will not see their own character flaws. And so it's always good to have somebody else to point out your flaws to you, even though you might not like that, because people don't realize their own flaws. Simcha, what do you want to say?
So how do you stop yourself from having...
By being self-aware. In other words, if I realize that I'm feeling upset that another Talmid Chacham is more successful, or another person in my profession is more successful, if I'm self-aware of that, then I can say, okay, this is ridiculous. The fact that he's successful doesn't take away from me. It's not a zero-sum game. If he's successful, I'm not going to be successful, and vice versa. I should be happy at his happiness. That's really what I have to be. And this is very, very difficult to do, because usually you're not willing to admit that the psychological source of your sinner comes from yourself, and you think that it comes from outside of yourself. And this causes all sorts of negative things, like then people, there's this concept called Schadenfreude. Schadenfreude means I'm happy when somebody else has a downfall. It's kind of like what they show in the cartoons. Everybody laughs when somebody slips on a banana peel. Right? What have you ever seen that? Right? What right should I, if somebody misses a pass for the football, so everybody else is, they're so happy that he missed a pass, right? So that is a kind of like a sinas chinam, right? Because you're happy that somebody else had a downfall. And that's called sameach le'ed chaveiro, being happy your friend's downfall. Or a similar thing is miskabi kol chaveiro, you're happy when somebody else is embarrassed. Like if the teacher starts shouting at somebody in the classroom, that makes you happy. That's also a problem of sinas chinam. It emanates from this. And this causes you also to be choshev b'ksherim, and to motzi shemra, and to speak lashon hara, and all sorts of other negative things. He brings down here a whole list of them. And therefore a person, sinas abrios, is something, it's not when you actually hate somebody in a way which is obvious. And everybody can tell, you can tell yourself, that would not be so bad. It says, Chazal say, Lo tisnas achicha bilvavecha. So, not Chazal, the Torah. Torah says, tisnas achicha bilvavecha. What does it mean, Lo tisnas achicha bilvavecha? Don't just say, Lo tisnas achicha. But sometimes people don't realize that even though they think they're acting nicely towards another person, and they're getting along with him, in their heart, they have some sort of hatred towards the other person. And maybe because they're in competition with them, because that person's getting higher grades, that teacher likes that person better, maybe because you feel that some other way that person is getting a privilege which you should be getting. But they're getting that privilege is not something which takes it away from you. And therefore, really, it's just your feeling of inadequacy in yourself.
Well, maybe it might be because, let's say there can only be one person that gets to get that one position in class or gets to do this one job in class. And then now, because he got it, be like, if he didn't get that job, then I would have got it because I'm second. But since he got it, now I'm not getting it. So it's actually true.
Right. In that case, it might be a zero-sum game. But even then, if you're a real friend, and this is hard, you're supposed to be happy at his success and not feel that his success took away from me. If Hashem gave him that favor, then that's his reward for whatever from Shemaim. I should be happy for him. It's not an easy thing to do. It's very hard to feel that way. But that's how a person's supposed to try and feel. That I'm happy that somebody else got ahead, and I'm not upset that he got ahead of me. And that's any form of that, even the most subtle form inside a person's heart, is called sinas habrios. So therefore, if I see something or somebody who is, again, he says, even by Talmidei Chachamim, if I see another Talmid Chacham who gives a better shir, who has more people listening to him, who writes better svarim, I'm supposed to be happy for him. Doesn't detract from me that he is so successful.
Rebbe,
Yes.
when's your the new Sefer and Erevin coming out?
Yetz Hashem before Daf Yomi starts Eruvin.
How long is that in?
In about 3-4 weeks. I hope.
Naomi's up to a paid test, I think. Tomorrow.
About 4 to 6 weeks. We're about to be cut off, but if it's earlier, I'll let you know. Okay? It's at the printers.
If